Good evening, it's Thursday, and welcome to FTB Sport. Hit that like button, share us all around. I'm joined by Darius as a fellow gossip buddy. We're the Gossip Boys. Going to talk about transfers, going to talk about managers. I don't think there's any done deals really today. So it's all about work in progress, rumours in the rumour mill, and there's quite a lot of them about. But we're going to start at the top. Because actually, it almost seems like that. I think there's 5, if you include West Brom in there, managers, clubs without managers, and it's almost as though you've got to fill those 5 and Inter and goodness knows what before the player go round will happen. So, it all looked like this kind of Cinderella story of Pochettino coming back to Spurs, and it was all going to be nicey, nice, and big hugs, and then lo and behold, a sidewinder.
A big one as well. Very big one.
Right from left field. Boom.
And how does everyone feel about this? You know what? As a Spurs fan, if anybody didn't know, I am a Spurs fan, obviously, on Paxton Road. It's one of those where you can't really get angry at this because both options that we've been given are great in their own sense and have pros and have cons. And obviously, when I saw this news about Poch, I think Poch was one of those where he wasn't actually a main candidate himself, really, to be honest. It was more so your Ten Hags we got linked with, and you saw rumours about Potter, Martinez. They were flying around. Every manager was flying around under the sun. But Poch sort of came a little bit more concrete recently. But all of a sudden, obviously, Conte leaves Inter, citing the fact that they don't really want to show that ambition to win more. And now all of a sudden I'm hearing that he's in advanced talks with Tottenham, and along with that Paratici as well. So as a Spurs fan, I can't be angry at this. He's literally just come off of a league in Italy with a team that haven't won the league in 10 years. He's proven throughout his whole career, wherever he goes, that when he comes in, he wins, and he wins straight away as well. And to be honest, Ian, I don't know about you, but Tottenham probably need him more than we need Poch, and this would probably be better for us mentality-wise, just in the whole club in general, just to bring in somebody like Conte. I can't imagine this is a bad thing for us. So me personally, I'm very happy, and I don't know, as a Man City fan, does it sort of strike fear into your eyes a little bit that Tottenham have got Conte, or is it sort of we're too far away from you lot?
No, not really. It's one of those that'll go to. It's a pendulum. It will either go far left or far right, but it won't sit in the middle. It's not an Ancelotti appointment where, he was going to gradually build it because he's a sensible sort of guy. I was reading about Conte today. And firstly, he does win things very quickly. He has that, most people have described him as completely crazy, mad as a box personality. And then all the wheels fall off on season 2 or season 3. But, if ever I can think of a club, and I always do sympathise with Spurs, in terms of not winning the league for all that period of time, we've been there. So I feel that pain, and that if you can get the first trophy in the cabinet, would it be a start of a positive journey? So I get it. I mean, I really enjoyed when Roberto Mancini managed Man City. I thought we played with a lot of flair and style. I really liked the guy, even when he introduced the blue and white scarf, the Italian style, and all that sort of stuff. I quite liked it. Apparently, as a man manager, though, he was pretty awful. But then at the same time, when you watch the documentaries on Pep, and you see them on Amazon Prime and stuff, Pep Guardiola's a bit crazy as well.
I think you need that, don't you?
Hyper all the time. So maybe just, I don't know.
And is it crazy or is it passion? Because at the same time, you can call it crazy, and I think that Conte is a bit crazy. Don't get me wrong. I do think he's got a slight bit of a nut loose, but I think that's perfect. I think it's perfect for what he wants to kind of get out of those players. He wants those players to fight for every single ball that goes out. And do you know what I mean? And you sort of need that warrior attitude. And if he's going to put that into his team and sort of bring that forth through his team, he needs to show that on the sideline as well. And I've been so angry at certain managers. I mean, Ryan Mason recently in a couple games, he almost seems dejected. It seems like he's got no care in the world. And I know he's Tottenham through and through, but you see somebody really, really want everything and show their entire desire on the pitch or on the sideline. It makes me much more sort of, I feel safer. I feel like, he really, really, really wants to do something. And Conte, he epitomizes that. So I can't help but be excited. And also another thing is, I don't think personally Conte would have to do as much as people think in terms of tweaking the squad, if he's able to keep Kane, I think that's a massive, massive factor in him sort of rebuilding the squad and sort of the negotiations that are going on. I think Kane's a big point. I think Conte would probably, and I think he's mentioned it in an interview prior in 2017, I believe it was. I think Kane's his ideal striker. I mean, you can see the similarities in Kane and Lukaku in the way that they've been playing. So I think that Conte, if he came in, would be able to sort of get rid of the players that we all know are bad. There's 5 or 6 players that I was going to
say he might have a look at Sissoko and Dyer in training. Yeah. Oh shit. You know?
Mate, I'm telling you, you see that picture of him with the massive bald patch there. He just lose all his hair. If he saw Sissoko train,
it's not like the best hair transplant ever.
Mate, I'm telling you, that transplant would go out the window if he saw Sissoko training. Honestly,
a few comments for you. Charles Williams says Conte is a good manager for Spurs. Mr. Silver Fox coming in here. I can see the excitement in Darius' eyes like a kid on Christmas Eve. Can't blame him, to be honest. It is
18 months. I've not been excited for 18 months. And you know what? And this is me, a personal take. I don't know how you felt about the Jose signing for Spurs, but I never really was excited for that signing. I didn't see anything good coming out of that because of the track record in his previous clubs. Chelsea, I know he won the league, but it ended up very, very badly. United, again, he won trophies, but he was given the money and it still ended up badly. So I was never excited for the Jose signing. He did okay in the start of this season, but obviously you know what happened, it all unraveled. So this is the signing. If this is the manager that we're talking to and we're negotiating with, I can't help but be excited, honestly, mate. It's one of them things where Conte has literally come off winning a league. If he can keep Kane and Son and play them as a striking partnership, I honestly believe that we can really start to, like, instead of it being a long, do you know how we've been speaking about this project and Tottenham need a really long rebuild and it's 5 years all? Honestly, Conte could really just find the perfect system like Tuchel has almost. Yeah. And I know Tuchel's been given a lot more resources.
From a Viagra pill, only.
But it's one of those, isn't it? It's literally, it just could just shoot up and you never know what could happen.
Like at Inter, you know, he brought in a couple of super experienced players like Ashley Young and
you call it Sanchez.
Yeah, and Sanchez. I mean, they were almost seasoned pros, weren't they? You know, designed to make short-term fix. I wonder who you'd bring into Spurs for a short-term injection.
I think he wouldn't be allowed to maybe necessarily. I do believe at Inter he was sort of given a lot of leeway to sort of bring in whoever he wants, and he sort of had to wrestle for a lot of the players that he wanted. I know that he was desperate for Lukaku. He wanted those seasoned veterans, as you say, to sort of get that squad and gel that squad together. I don't think he'll be allowed to sign as many seasoned veterans in terms of the age of the players, but in terms of the experience of the players. We were linked with players like Marcel Sabitzer, who's a captain of Leipzig. He's 26 years old. I think he might be 27 now. He's sort of that player that you're going to model a Conte team around, because he's not in his 30s and he's not pushing that sort of age where he might not be playing 20, 30 games a season, but he's still a veteran. He's still a very seasoned professional. He's still a captain, a leader in his squad. So I think that's what he's going to be looking for when he's trying to sign players. Even going into Inter and sort of ripping Inter apart might be a thing that he might do. Like I said, there's midfielders like Barella, Brozovic, who's 29, Barella, who's younger than that. There's who else is there who could potentially sign? Hakimi, you never know. We need a right back. If we want to go and splash 50, 60 million and secure a right back for the next 5 years, you've got someone who Conte was desperate to get from from Dortmund and Madrid to Inter. You never know. He might have that pulling power to bring Hakimi to a club. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but these are the sort of players that a manager like Conte can attract, because he's proven to them that he's won a league at Inter. He could bring them to Tottenham and do something special.
I still wonder whether he'll go for a couple of seasoned pros as well. I don't know, maybe a Julian Draxler or even some real, a bit like Thiago Silva going Chelsea, maybe like getting Ramos from Real Madrid just for a season, to give them a little bit of beef. I thought it was interesting. I was also looking today at his replacement in Inter is Inzaghi.
Inzaghi,
who's been at Lazio for 5 years. And it was just a thought running through my head that, because I remember these guys, because it was Filippo Inzaghi was the real player. I mean, he had got like 60 caps for Italy. Simeone Inzaghi got 3 or 4, I think it was. He wasn't as far good a player as his brother. So his brother, who was an Italian superstar, is managing a little club in the second division. and yet his younger brother, who was not fit to lace his boots on the field, is managing Inter Milan. I thought, how the heck
trophies as well, hasn't he?
How does that work on when they're having Christmas Day lunch or whatever? But is there also something about maybe the greatest players in the world don't become the most successful managers, and the most successful managers come from a little bit more run-of-the-mill kind of players.
I think that's a great point. I honestly, if you look, and me personally, this might be a take for Darius only, and you know what, in the comments you can get onto me if you think otherwise. But Zidane's one of these managers where I'm yet to see what Zidane brings in terms of a coaching perspective that's mind-blowing, and it's groundbreaking for people to be so attracted to him as a manager, because I believe that strongly the reason why Zidane was able to win so many accolades and win those 3 trophies and the 3 Champions Leagues in a row was down to Ronaldo and the players and the team that he was given almost to sort of, he just needed to make sure to ease the egos, to make sure those Cruz, Ramos, Pepe, Casemiro, you've got all these players
when he had them, and Marcelo.
100%, of course, and like I said, I'm not discrediting any of his achievements. He still has to manage those players and those big egos, but it's sort of these that we call them players. It's the players that weren't necessarily famous. Jurgen Klopp only played for Mainz when he was younger. Obviously, Pep Guardiola was a very, very good player and was renowned at Barcelona in Spain, but he's one of very few.
Conte, really good. Quick question for you: Eriksen back to Spurs.
Oh no! Chill, Mr. Silver Fox.
No,
it's only the only reason I say no so quickly is because it ended so awkwardly and so tensely, and he was so desperate to get out of Tottenham that I don't even really think that Inter was his first choice. Obviously, I think he wanted Real Madrid desperately, and we didn't sell him to Real Madrid, and he just got to Inter because he was desperate to get to Inter. And then when he went to Inter, Conte didn't even really play him, and he forced himself into that team. So I'm good. He can stay. He can stay.
My mate Rosa Fernandez is going to punch my lights out afterwards because I've just having a go. She's a passionate Real Madrid fan, and she says, disagree. Zidane's track record as manager speaks for itself. Yeah, but
this is the thing. And this is what I'm saying. I tweeted something saying to Zidane, I will give Zidane all the credibility that he deserves when he goes to a different club. And now he's left Real Madrid for the second time. If he goes and proves himself at a different club, and he can either bring this club up, or even if he's, like you say, if you drop him into Bayern Munich or you drop him into Juventus, if he can win a Champions League with those players, and even if they are stars, if he can win it at a different club, I'm in no position to say, Zidane, you're not the best manager. But for me,
I'd like to go to Crystal Palace and win it.
I mean, like I said, if he was to go to any other club and win a Champions League, if you win a Champions League at 2 different clubs, that's very, very impressive. It's a very impressive feat to do. So I'm holding my reservations for Zidane until he does it somewhere else. And like I said, I think he could go to Juve, but obviously now Allegri's joined Juve, so I actually don't know where Zidane's going to go now. Now he's left for Madrid. PSG, but he's a Marseille boy, so I don't know what the future holds for this.
Let's leap on to the second story of the day. The second big story of the day. Now, I don't know whether this has been created in bloody Disneyland Paris or
I saw this.
Dropped out of the sky, but the word is, and I think there was some.
Just reading through these comments.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going through. Yeah, right. Leave that on the screen from Charles Williams. Say, there's this story, and I think we've known for a long time that Mbappé wants to go to Real Madrid. Real Madrid want to make it happen, and it is, to be fair, a logical next step for him. Even though I'd love to see him in the Premier League, but back filling in with a 37-year-old Ronaldo from Juventus, and then seeing Icardi going the other way to Juventus. Flipping heck, it sounds a bit far-fetched, a bit conspiracy theory.
So what we've got in this triangle is we've got Mbappé to Real Madrid, and then we've got Icardi from PSG to Juventus, and then Ronaldo from Juventus to PSG.
Yeah, 37 years old. Charles Williams said the story started it with La Gazzetta dello Sport. Can't see it happening due to all the outside issues with sponsorships. Yeah, absolutely. Ronaldo comes with a lot of commercial baggage. At best, I can only see a swap with Juventus and Man United. Ronaldo going to yeah, with Ronaldo going to Manchester United and Pogba going back the other way. But bloody hell, I wouldn't. And not 37. Come on, how much longer can you last?
I mean, we say this, but did he not finish top goal scorer of Serie A with 29 goals? And 29 goals is it's pretty impressive. So, I mean, we can say Ronaldo's eventually going to fall off, but I genuinely don't know that guy. I still don't think he's human. I think he's probably got 3 real good years left in him, but it's not even necessarily his age that's a problem for me, Ian. It's the wages. I think he's on something like annually 80 million euros or $80 million a year at Juventus. And like you said, the only club that I can really see affording that wage, added on to the fact that you're probably going to have to pay a transfer fee as well because he still has a year left on his deal, is Man United, really and truly. But God, that, like you said, for a 37-year-old player, you're going to trade your prime, probably your most sellable asset or one of your most sellable assets. You're going to trade him for a 37-year-old who, at the end of the day, I don't know if Ronaldo is going to be able to continue that performance in the Premier League as he does in Serie A, because we all know Serie A is such a slower league, and he's allowed sort of that space to still be Ronaldo and play as a striker. But I don't know in the Premier League if he's going to be as good as he is. So to pay 80 million euros a year, then to sign him on, I don't know about you, but it seems like not worth it to me, especially when you're being linked with the likes of Jadon Sancho, who's
a story from Man City, actually, Main Road years. You know, in the years when we were trying to do something, but we were bloody hopeless. And then this crazy situation happened where we signed George Weah. Now, George Weah, if you track back, was like I think he was Ballon d'Or winner or
I think he did what it was.
Player of the Year. I think he was about 35 when he came to City. And I was there with a couple of mates and we were watching as he came on for his first game, etc., etc. And at 35, George Weah had lost it.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
He would have signed him at 35. I don't know where they got a pair of shorts that big from, but you know.
But it's also a commercial thing as well. Do you think? Because obviously, if you look at, I think I was reading something about sort of Juventus's Instagram followers before Ronaldo joined and the followers after. He brings all of that as well. He brings that massive commercial side that it's Cristiano Ronaldo. What do you expect? Do you think maybe Man United are financially looking to benefit from, obviously, if you saw Ronaldo coming back as a Man United fan, you give him that number 7 shirt and the sales are going to go straight through the roof.
I'm sure that the Glazers are thinking about their franchise, and
of course they are.
Shirts.
Of course they are.
Ronaldo, they probably still think Ronaldo's 25, you know.
Oh my God.
Silver Fox again saying here, Ronaldo finishing his career in France with Paris. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it too, that he will have proved it in the Premiership, he'll have proved it in the Liga, proved it in Italy, and to finish it off with a grand slam, so to speak, in Paris, down
with the opportunity still to win the Champions League.
Jersey. Yeah, I get it.
Because I think is he one Champions League off of equaling or breaking the all-time record for most Champions Leagues won? And I know that's burning him. I know he's top goal scorer, but I know he wants that last Champions League. And I think if you go to PSG, obviously, I believe that if he is to go to PSG, that's because Mbappé is left. If you've got Neymar, Ronaldo, and then you potentially sign somebody else, you really are still looking at winning that Champions League. And as a 37-year-old, I mean, look at Ibrahimovic. He's galvanized that AC Milan squad and brought them to a second place finish and back in the Champions League now, and he's back in the Sweden squad again. So
he's older, isn't he? He's 39.
He's 40. He's 40 in October. So
maybe we're wrong. Maybe
look at Lewandowski, 34, broke Gerd Muller's record. These players, they are conditioning themselves to go a little bit longer than we think. Maybe that might be the case. Maybe we're underestimating them. Maybe.
I remember when Ibrahimovic had a massive injury, like a knee injury. I think he was in America or whatever at the time. And he went, no, even that won't hold up back the Zoltan or whatever. And you think, oh, that's a load of bollocks. But he did.
It's unbelievable what he's doing.
America to die. He went to America and then came back and was reborn.
He was bored. He went to America because he was bored. He was like, I'm going to go LA, finish my career, do my thing, score volleys on my debut. You know what I mean? And then he was like, you know what? I've actually still got fire left in my tank. And he was like, it's not even that he came back to AC Milan and was sat on the bench, a little bit like Mandzukic. He came back in January, hasn't done much, Mandzukic. Zlatan came back and sort of he led AC Milan to this title surge, and he was the main guy. He made all of those youngsters, because that squad is so young, that AC Milan squad. They've got a really, really good squad going in the future. He led that squad to think that they could really do something, but obviously it didn't work out. But he's still got his year contract extension, so he will be there when he's 40 years old. And you never know. Like I said, Lewandowski, Suarez winning leagues for Atletico Madrid, Messi still banging goals in, Ronaldo. Like, these players are conditioning themselves to go longer than we think.
Mainly lobbing the ball from one side of the pitch to the other in American football, you know?
It's crazy. And I think you sort of have to give a lot of respect to these athletes for making sure that they don't pewter out, and they don't sort of finish their careers at the age that we expect them to. Because, like I said, 33,
Juma reckons we at Man United agenda don't want Ronaldo. I think though about what Darius just said, though. You know, if the Zoltan can be, you know, play like that at 39.
Cavani?
Yeah, Cavani. Well, he's
doing his thing.
But is Mbappé world class? Yeah, he is. The guy's
100%.
It is hell.
And he will prove it in the Euros. I think he will really, obviously the World Cup was his World Cup, but I think this Euros he's going to be one of the leaders of that team and really galvanize that France squad to do quite well. I'm not sure if France will win it, but they are favourites 100%. Their squad is ridiculous.
A saber rattling between Charles Williams and Silver Fox.
What's going on? Is this beef in the comments?
Oh yeah, just beef about Liverpool, and you know, it's nothing transferry.
I mean, I'm not going to get onto Liverpool this season because we can clown them all they like. They bloody finished third. They finished third place. So I don't know how they managed that, but we can't even get up.
Silver Fox and Amondi, they're like that YouTuber fighting Floyd Mayweather, isn't they?
Oh, Logan Paul.
They should take it to the car park.
Yeah, no, he's definitely world class. I think Mbappe's proven that now.
My mate Ross is saying he will be when he's at a world class club, which is frighteningly. The only bit I'd say to Ross is if he joined Madrid, you know, if that aging midfield were 3 or 4 years younger, if Cruz and Modric and co alongside and Marcelo were all in their 20s, then bloody hell, Real Madrid win everything with in front of that lot. But what
I will say is they're building a decent
ammunition to him.
They are building a decent squad. I 100% agree with you. I think that's one of the most underrated midfield trios. The Casemiro, Cruz, and Modric trio it's mind blowing. They've done incredible things to win 4 Champions Leagues in 5 years, to still dominate the midfield that they are still doing in La Liga. Because Cruz and Modric are having great seasons. Casemiro, underrated player. Nobody really talks about Casemiro as much as they do. I agree with you 100%. But what I will say is Real Madrid have sort of stockpiled the youth of tomorrow, and they've got decent players coming up. Obviously, Odegaard has been out on loan at Arsenal.
When you check in, Ross was talking to me all about Real Madrid have a second team that plays also in the Spanish second league. It's run by Raul.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. Of course, he is. Apparently, he was in.
All the bubbling, very young Real Madrid talent is coming through, and it's almost like they're holding back Raul and that bunch for 2-3 more years.
So they come up together.
You know, like Spain surge forward as a group of players, and Mbappé is only 23. So by the time if that happens, that tsunami of Spanish talent comes through with, you know, Raul, you know, riding his white charger forward, then Mbappé will still only be 25.
And then you've got players like, and the thing is with Real Madrid is they always have that allure. They're Real Madrid. They'll never ever lose that allure. Even if they were, like I said, even if they're riddled with debt as they are, even if they haven't won any trophies this season, which they didn't, they're still Real Madrid. Camavinga, who's 18 years old, prodigious talent, wants to go to Real Madrid. There's so many players who I can name who are young, prodigious talents who want to go to Real Madrid. So I think that they're sorted. Valverde is another great example. Valverde is a great midfielder who they've got ready to come into that midfield and do a good job. So I think that Real Madrid are more than okay. The only thing is, I was just a little bit surprised, and I asked Rosa this. Just ask her personally, as she's a Real Madrid fan.
Castilla is the team, she says.
Yeah, the Castilla team. Obviously, that's what their name is.
We know.
I just wanted to ask Rosa, as a Real Madrid fan, how she feels about the Ancelotti obviously appointment, and whether Mbappe or Haaland. Obviously, that's the debate.
Very sound appointment.
I think it's a steady one, and like you said, I think it's not something that it's not a plan. It's not what Perez is looking for. I do believe that Perez is probably using Ancelotti as a perfect stopgap. The guy who's been at the club knows the club, and then maybe, like you said, in 2 years' time, you bring in. I personally thought Nagelsmann was going to go to Madrid, or he was in Madrid's plans, or somebody like even Conte leaving Inter Milan. I thought, yeah, Conte goes to Madrid. That's sort of a surefire thing. But yeah, they'll always be fine. I think Real Madrid, they'll always be fine.
There was an earlier one that I didn't know anything about. Yeah, Mr. Silva. Thoughts on Man United and Arsenal linked with Andre Silva? I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, I'm scared if that is, and I saw that Man City have made contact with Andre Silva. If that is true, he's a really, really good player. I mean, he scored, I think it was second or third most goals behind Haaland and Lewandowski in the league. And he, in that Frankfurt team, he's a proper mystery. He's a proper centre forward who gets about, works hard, and there's that Frankfurt quartet of Kamada, Kostic, Jovic, who didn't really do that well when he came back, and Andre Silva, who have been absolutely ridiculous this season. Those four have been
still for Haaland.
Yeah, as for City,
City have not big
money now. That's
blockbusting forward for such a long time. He's got great feet, incredible. When he threw Ruben Dias off on that tap, I thought, boy, what a precocious 21-year-old or whatever on that. But more than that, Pep Guardiola needs a young player to mould. He'll mould him into a much, much better player. I like Harry Kane. Who couldn't like Harry Kane? He's a top quality goal scorer, and I'll be cheering with the rest for England. But, it's a bit old dog, new tricks with Pep. Pep has to control. And Harry has a mind of his own, if you know what I mean.
I also think that I noticed in that England game the other day. Yeah, I noticed in that England game that I feel like his mentality now, wherever he goes, will be like how he is at Tottenham, where he feels like he has to carry the team. And he dropped off so much. He dropped off so much in that game yesterday or the day before that it kind of hindered the performance of Jack Grealish, who isn't known for running in behind. Like, Jack Grealish isn't the player to make those runs in behind, those diagonal runs in behind. He needs the ball at his feet. So when you've got Harry Kane who's dropping into the 10, it hinders other players' performances. So I think that obviously that whole 9.5, that new position that he's sort of commanding, that half creator, half striker role. I don't know if it will work at a club like City, where his sole role should just be to bang in goals. When you've got Foden, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva creating chances, you don't need to be that guy to create chances. And I know that Pep values players, strikers who could drop in and dictate play and obviously play with the ball at their feet. But Harry Kane in that team, that wouldn't be his role. He wouldn't need to do that. So I don't know. Like you said, I think that Haaland, for you, it's whether you go now and you secure him, or you take that risk of competing with other clubs next year, and obviously you get him for half the price. For me, he's the golden boy. He's my golden boy. I like him more than Mbappé personally, but yeah.
I reckon Mr. Silver Fox and Rosa Fernandez should do their own show, because actually, when it comes to the detail, they kick out.
Facts, haven't they?
Yeah, Mr. Silver.
Fantastic stats though for Andre Silva. It is amazing stats. 28 goals and 8 assists.
Thank you, Mr. Silver Fox, and thanks Rosa for her clearing up. Maybe they can be our coaches on the sideline, feeding us the data while we inject it. But
taking all the credit.
Thursday. We'll probably come on at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, and then leave it until the others. I've had lots of good participation, loads of comments. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff bubbling all over Europe and the world 100%. In terms of managers, players. It's a super exciting.
It's a roller coaster, isn't it?
And something we haven't mentioned is, some of those values will go up and some will go down in the Euros, but certainly all these names that are being discussed, the eyes of the world will be on them, whether you're Haaland, whether you're Mbappé, all those players, that are European will be even more under the microscope. And what the hell, if bloody Harry wins Golden Boot,
add another 20 million onto that price tag,
1.5 or 1.6, 160 million.
I'll take that. I will take that.
Amandi says City are signing Jack Grealish according to Inside Scoop. I really hope so. I was actually saying I quite like this false 9 bit and wait for Haaland for a year. The other line I love is Neto at Wolves. I think he's a brilliant player.
I was going to say there's quite a few. Tottenham are in need of a winger. If you think Neto, he's a great player. Rafinha at Leeds, I also think is a great winger. Matheus Pereira, who got relegated with West Brom, I also think is an adequate Premier League winger as well. There's a lot of good wingers on the market, and we are in need of one. If you don't go and get Jack Grealish, Is that Jack Grealish and Harry Kane, or is that Jack Grealish over Harry Kane? Either way, I think.
Oh, there's going to be some swap shop, because what City have tried to manipulate at Villa is that they've still got the buyout clause of what's his name? Luis.
Yeah.
And it's, I can't remember, the buyout clause is about 20 and he's probably worth 40.
Yeah, he's had a decent season.
City are saying, oh, we'll have him back, because they could be serious. They could think he's a Fernandinho replacement to sit, to work with
him and Rodri working together. Yeah.
Or they could be using it as a lever to get, 25% off the price of Jack Grealish or whatever.
Do you think realistically Jack Grealish is on the move though? Like I would love for him to be on the move. I just think that contract that he signed is trapped him for at least a year or two now. It's sort of the same situation as Kane. I would love for him to go. I'd love for him to be at Man City. I think that'd be amazing, but I can't see it happening personally.
I don't have much knowledge of agents and that sort of thing. I don't know who's turning out.
He's the same agent as
he's a Villa boy, isn't he? I mean, he's a Villa boy through and through. I don't know. He strikes me as ambitious though.
Yeah, definitely. Same agent as Gareth Bale, Jonathan Barnes.
I know we have to mention others. I mentioned yesterday that Watford had been fast out of the blocks signing 3 players, which is good. Congrats to Watford. And my Palace mates were kind of mixed views about Benteke signing for another 2 years, because Palace have got loads out of contract, and let's hope they can get Townsend for another couple of years, and
Cahill as well.
Yeah, and as long as Cahill's legs last, and I don't know about Ward. If that's, I think
Kiate's had a good season as well.
Ward, but there's make or break time, and it's Benteke just reminds me of bloody Sissoko at Spurs. When it comes up to contract time, or that previous 6 months, that he's like a world beater, and then for the next couple of years, he's gone someplace.
Let me tell you now, Mr. Sissoko, we see through you here at Tottenham. We've seen through that now. I'm done with, because you are so true, so right. And we see through that now. Done with that completely.
Benteke's a bit like that. He's a bit like that.
He had a good end to the season, didn't he? Really did.
In the last 10 games of the season.
Yeah, he really did.
Even being unkind, and maybe he's the first time he's been fit from injuries, etc. But I don't know. Can you imagine how slow he's going to be at 32, 33?
The thing is, it's a new manager. They should have just initiated a sort of a new change, Crystal Palace, because I really do believe they're trying to go for a younger, more attack-minded manager. I've seen Frank Lampard be linked, Eddie Howe be linked. So
they can't.
It's an aging squad. It's an aging squad.
They'll go down like Fulham did if they play that game. They need a cagey, well-regimented manager. They need a Sean Dyche, or in my dreams, Rafa Benitez for there. They need a disciplinarian to keep them in the Premier League. They haven't got the money.
What about Big Sam? What do you think Big Sam would do at Crystal Palace? He'd keep him up, I think.
Palace have had Steve Bruce there. They've had Sam Allardyce there.
True.
They've often gone. The only time they went adventurous was when they went for Frank de Boer, who was laughed at in all the press today, because he said, "Oh, I think we'll play such and such and such," but actually he wasn't even in the squad.
Wow, that's incredible.
God help Holland. And when Holland held by Scotland in a friendly.
Yep.
And Scotland had like 7 players out with COVID, so God knows what the Scottish team was like to hold Holland.
And I caught I caught the highlights of that game. Scotland looked like they played pretty well. Can't even lie to you. Depay really saved. He really saved the Netherlands in that game, because Memphis Depay, he looks like he's on his way to Barcelona now. Again, that's another team that we could talk about in another show. Barcelona have made a few really good signings. Yeah, they're those free signings that they're making are smart ones.
Ronaldo as well.
I think it's at the moment we're on Wijnaldum, Depay, Aguero, Garcia. I think that's it at the moment, but they've definitely got more.
They'll sniff for more. They've got a brand that the brand pulls. And interesting on that, I mean, Aguero took quite a big pay drop to go to Barcelona.
I think that's a relationship with Messi. Do you think?
Rossa has a view on this, and she really believes that Barcelona brought in Aguero to keep Messi happy.
100%. 100%. He seems like he's going to sign a contract as well that's going to significantly drop his wages. But what I'm hearing is the contract length is going to be something crazy, like 10 10 years or 8 to 10 years or something like that. So obviously
I
the
might as well
wage
get
will be.
Barcelona shirt on then. I could turn up for the last.
Put me in director of football. We'll be flying again, back to 2009 days.
Yeah, but anyway, pleasure, sir. I'm around at 8 o'clock. You want me to join tomorrow night or Monday or Tuesday next week? I wonder what the next 24 hours will bring. Be interesting. Thank you.
I need some confirmations. That's what we need. Confirmations.
Like us, share us, tell your mates. 8 o'clock. That's the time for action. Thank you, Darius. Your enthusiasm is awesome.
And I missed this. We had some fun times earlier on. We need to make sure this is a.
The comment earlier that said you seem as happy as a kid on Christmas Day. I thought that was the comment of the night.
We're back. Tottenham might be slightly back. Let me not get too overhead of myself. Slightly back.
Cheers. Have a lovely evening. Bye.